Welcome to Making More, the podcast where high-performing business owners and visionary executives share how they're building more than just bottom lines. I'm your host, Billy Fisher, an engineering leader turned business and executive coach, and I'm guided by a personal mission to help leaders create clarity, build forward momentum, and make more of what matters most. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Giorgio Natili. Giorgio's path is an absolutely remarkable one, from the waves of professional windsurfing to the fast-moving world of technology leadership. He's now the vice president and head of engineering at a company called OPAQUE, and that won't be for much longer. He's taking a new role. We'll talk about that during the episode. But again, he's just a remarkable individual, helping shape the future of immersive technology and AI. In this conversation today, we'll talk about his journey, his leadership philosophy, and now he's bringing a human-centered perspective to leadership and innovation. Giorgio, welcome to Making More, the podcast. It's so great to have you.
Thank you for having me, Billy. I'm really excited about our conversation. What I know so far about you is making me sure that today we'll have fun.
I think we will have a lot of fun today. I'm excited to let the listeners join in on that fun with us. So career transition is a big part of your life. I made the comment when I first met you that I thought it was interesting that you went just from mechanical engineering right into software engineering, but it didn't really start there. Like, you started way outside of engineering in your career.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my first job was one of my dreams since when I was a kid. That was doing the professional windsurfer. So I was doing national and international competitions. I had some local shops that were supporting me. So I was getting equipment at a pretty decent rate and getting somebody else sponsoring my trips and so on. And it was fun. But that it wasn't really paying the bills. Let's put it this way. But that's not the reason why I changed it completely. I know that was a kind of a life that you embrace a different lifestyle. It's not anymore about career. It's not anymore about money. It's just about the connection with the sea. But at the time, I was also studying, and I was in college, and I was studying mechanical engineering. And then my career started to take a few different steps that were absolutely non-expected. I found myself at some point organizing events. I was organizing pretty important events, taking care of public relationship, the image of the event itself, music selection, DJ scouting, everything. And I had the opportunity for a few years to drive around Rome. Maybe 2,000-3,000 people per week were following me in different events, club, international championship of tennis, pretty interesting thing. And was definitely an interesting lifestyle because it was still in the phase where the club culture in Europe was very strong, and Italy was the king of Europe. So we had wonderful DJs, wonderful music. There were new places, new clubs, new events that required the assistance of professionals that were doing that job every single month or every few months. There was something new. And that was fantastic. At some point, I started to modernize my workflow, and I decided to buy a personal computer. Now, my first personal computer was a Commodore VIC-20 when I was 7 years old. My second, an Amiga 500, then an Amiga 2000. So it was not a new thing, but was definitely the second Windows machine. I had a transient laptop when I was in high school that my uncle gave to me, and I was just doing homework over there. But in the middle of my transformation, I started to use Excel. I started to use other software to automate invitation, to control the budget, to plan. And I was so excited about Excel because of the power of the formulas that I was speaking with friends of mine about it. Think about it. It's late 99, early 2000, something like that. So Excel in Italy was kind of voodoo magic, right? And a friend of mine had a small local school where they were teaching programming languages. And during a conversation, he told me, well, if you like Excel, you would love Flash. And I say, what is Flash? Flash was the dominant technology at that time for websites with animation, with audio, with all the interesting and innovative media merging into a single experience. I went and I took a 2 days class. At the end of the second day, I told to myself, it's impossible that this software is doing only that. It was end of April. I went straight to a bookshop and I bought 2 or 3 manuals about Flash in English. Again, I was speaking some English, but reading a book in English, it's a completely different. End of April, beginning of May. By the beginning of July, I absorbed everything from that 3 books.
Wow.
And I was start building my first website for the father of a dear friend of mine, and starting to send a resume around. And specifically, I sent a resume to a company that was organizing a training in that specific technology on a national scale. So it was not anymore a small school, it was a big school. And in September, I was teaching.
You were teaching the class.
Yes.
You weren't taking the class. So you're the teacher now.
I was a teacher in a very few months. And
Very
since
good.
then, I started to build my knowledge by learning new programming language and teaching them. And in a couple of years, I started to build communities, a good reputation. I started to get very big projects landing on my desk. Dolce & Gabbana, Fay, Cartier, Michelin, Giorgio Armani, very important brands.
Yes.
TV shows, and I built my own company. I started my own company with, at that time, she was my girlfriend, but a few months after she became my wife, she's still my wife.
Congratulations.
Yeah, lasting so long, right? But the long story short is that my passion for technology brought me into a completely different field. Think about a third career, right? Windsurf, mechanical engineering, events, actually fourth one, software engineering. That is completely different from mechanical engineering, from any other engineering field. And here we are, more than 12 years, about 12 years ago, I moved in the US, closing my company, starting over from a senior software role. And then I worked in amazing companies like Amazon, Capital One, Mozilla, and now I was, at the time of recording, I left OPAQUE a few days ago.
That's right.
And I had good experiences overall. I am now looking forward to my next opportunity. I'll share more about what I will do next in the next podcast. But I'll still work in AI.
Yeah.
I'll still take a very important role in a corporate that is pretty innovative, pretty solid.
Yes, I would say they are at the leading edge, and thank you. Yes, we will save it. We won't spoil it for those that are following Giorgio's career. But you definitely heard of the company that he is joining now. What can you tell them what your title will be at least?
Yes, absolutely. I will be the head of AI and ML engineering for supporting tools. A few days ago, I was doing a research with Perplexity about the feasibility from a financial standpoint of a secret party for Halloween in the Northwest Pacific. Of course, the first outcome of this research was enthusiastic. Oh, what a great idea, right? Let me flesh out for you the most important thing. Yes, it's definitely doable, and so on. Well, also in this field, I have some expertise. I'm not, it's not my day job, but I organized events in the past. I also organized conferences in 2017, 18, 19. So I do have an understanding. I started to challenge the model. I kept being the expert in the room. And after maybe 1.5 hours of back and forth, I got with the research that I wanted, but also with disappointing data that from the enthusiastic, let's go, let's do it, went, yes, most likely you will go even. You will not lose money, but there is a 20% possibility that you will lose money. So what changed? All the factors that my experience can add about an event. Prediction on the consumption of alcohol at a bar, prediction about the sales of ticket, potential issue with the weather, many things, right? So AI is powerful because to write that research by myself, I should have spent at least 1 week. I did it 4 days, roughly. I did it in 1 hour, and it's okay. Not a PhD research, but it's okay.
Right.
So the secret is keeping yourself at the center of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that AI has limitations that hopefully it will always have, because otherwise can be a very scary situation where the AI it's completely surpassing the human being. Because that open so many ethical considerations that that is very, very hard to imagine. But in any case, that's the big misconception. Use AI just to do something on your behalf or to replace people. No, use it to augment people. Also in a company always say, oh, if I had 20 more engineers, I could have done X, Y, and Z. Or if I had 50 more drivers, I could have taken over completely that segment. Well, now you have them. Enhance your engineers, enhance your drivers, enable your employees to do more with less, not to work harder, but to work smarter. And then you will see that you get a lot out of AI. And that's a misconception. The last one, I know that the answer is very long, I'm sorry. It's about data privacy and data sovereignty and your digital dignity. People treat a lot of these AI tools as a companion, best friends, confident, and they throw at them whatever data. They don't pay attention about the privacy policies. Also, with a paid subscription, you are exposing yourself to risk of losing your data identity, but it's somewhat limited. If you use the free version, you are really giving everything out of it. Or if you use Facebook, Instagram, you are using free tools and you are training models. So your data, your image, your likes, your behavior, everything is training data. So you are giving away a lot of yourself. And I really would love to see people being a little bit more conscious of what they are doing, what they are sharing online, how they are compromising their ownership of their identity, their digital dignity, because there is too much ease of usage on AI in many, many situations, in many countries, and that's extremely dangerous.
I love the phrase. I don't know if you coined it or if it's one you just picked up over the years, but digital dignity. You were the first person I heard use that particular phrase. And it's such a great phrase to capture a lot of what I think people fear right now about being able to have an online presence and share their life with family and friends and loved ones, but still do that in a way that is, safe and secure. And I think so many of us take for granted what we share publicly. It's once it's in the internet and once it's in the giant corporations' hands, like Facebook and Meta, it's like you said, training models and being used for heaven knows what.
Well, it's not only the usage, it's also the risk of reverse engineering biases and weight. There are techniques that can trick models to get back, to spit back some biases, some weights, and then there are techniques to reverse engineering that and recover information. So if you see your date of birth, your social security number, your identity being on sale for $20 on the dark web, you should not blame anybody. rather
No.
than you. And everybody is at risk. I'm not saying that I'm not at risk. I'm sure that most likely somebody will find my identity somewhere on sale, because the more you are visible online, the easiest is to rebuild your identity. But we have to take some precautions. And we need to advocate with everybody the ability to, the right, the fundamental human right to have AI explainable to us. I read recently a book that is 5 years old. So it's not brand new, but at that time, the time of writing, the book reported a study done from a couple of students at Oxford that to understand fully in depth the privacy policy and the contract that you are agreeing with, the term and condition that you are agreeing with for the Nest, the small thermostat, you have to read
Yes.
around 1,000 other contracts and policies. 1,000.
Wow.
So
For a thermostat.
that, yes, and a few days ago there was a scandal on the Italian newspaper. A famous artist on TV found online his video, intimate video with his fiancée, leaked on the net. And it seems that the leakage happened through the surveillance camera that they installed in the house. So now there is an investigation, there is a big international scandal, blah, blah, blah. Sure. But I'm not advocating against digitalizing our life, but being thoughtful. Do you need it? Yes. No. Do you really need it? Yes. Okay. What I'm giving up? Because think also about the paid subscription of OpenAI or Claude or Perplexity. They, compared to what they can do for you, they are unbelievable cheap. $20, right?
Yes.
But what you are giving back, I don't know. It's still to be determined, right? What is the trade-off over there?
That's
A lot
right.
of
We
your
haven't
privacy.
we haven't gotten to the end of that line yet. We're still going to figure out what they're taking from us for that small down payment each month. So Giorgio, there's another phrase that you brought up. I'm not sure if again it was one that came from OPAQUE Systems, your time there maybe, but it was confidential AI. What can you tell me about that in practical terms?
Yes, confidential AI come from my time at OPAQUE system. Confidential AI, it's the ability to run AI workflows, agentic or not, in a confidential computing environment that is a different computational environment where you can guarantee that data get unencrypted only at runtime, where you can guarantee that all the components of the system that are interacting with each other are what they are expected to be, and where you can prove through attestation and through logs that all the operations that happened on a system are the ones that are expected, or in any case, you have a record of what happened to the data. So you keep data sovereignty, you keep you satisfy most part of the regulations like GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA, and so on. And that's a very powerful way of computing data because it puts the privacy and the sovereignty of data at the very forefront.
If I'm not mistaken, and again, I know they're way behind as far as artificial intelligence technology goes, but Apple has been a big proponent of like on-device processing, on-device models that the users can take advantage of versus sending those queries to the cloud and using cloud compute for that.
That's true, but it's also unpractical running a large language model on a device. It's impossible. At least
Impossible.
for our current interpretation of large language models, yes. So if you think about a couple of years ago, a large language model was 7 billion of parameters. Right now, it's 30, 60 billions, 135 billions. So it's a huge number.
We're talking data centers, not a mobile device. Exactly, right?
Impossible. Yes, you need multiple data centers to run large language models, to the point that some of them are using an architecture that is known as mixture of experts, where you have a different part of the model that is specialized, and you have a sort of an orchestrator in front of it that understands from the prompt, which is the part of the model, the expert that have to be put into the game. Because otherwise, activating and maintaining an entire model with the size that the models are reaching now, it's impractical and too much expensive. So, but I align with the sentiment. I think that using federated learning to do most of the task on device can be very helpful. Now, the problem with the consumer device is that most likely you need a generalized model that is a large language model like Llama, like Llama, like R3, like Claude, like ChatGPT, and so on. And they are very, very, very hard to it's impossible to run them on a device. For very specialized models, it's a different story. Think about a device that is, I don't know, helping a gardener to detect whatever disease or whatever species of plants they have in front of them, to understand, to advise the customer, and so on. That one that can definitely run on a mobile device because it's a very specialized, narrow down model. And I'm supportive about this idea. I think this approach. I think it's very important. The federated learning, it's even more sophisticated. There is between the device and the centralized model, there is a communication of weights and biases, but not entire data set. All of them can be reversible. Specifically, if I remember correctly, biases are easier than weights, or vice versa. Take me with a grain of salt and verify with ChatGPT here. But in general, it's definitely more secure. And that's a different approach to training and fine-tuning, actually, to training the model. And then behind the scene, there can be a fine-tune that is happening based on that. But right now, what I see, specifically if I compare Europe to US, is that in the US, everybody use AI in one way or another. Doesn't matter the age, the race, social level, whatever. Everybody knows what is ChatGPT. They ask me questions sometimes. Well, which app should I use, ChatGPT or Claude AI? Well, it depends, right? It depends what you have to do. In Europe, instead, I had really to explain to many people what is AI, what can mean for them. And very surprisingly, this summer, during my month and a half in Italy, I've been asked very few times about AI. Very few times. When instead, if I go in a social event, as soon as I say what I do, people start asking questions, right? We start having discussions and so on. So it's a hot topic here. In Europe, it's hot, but it's not that penetrated yet into the day-by-day life. Into the life, yes, but in the day-by-day life, a little bit less.
Yes. That was such a fun first call we had together. I was calling Giorgio up for our intro discussion before the podcast, and he unflipped his virtual background and showed me he was on like a lunch restaurant balcony looking over the Tuscan ocean front. It was just absolutely beautiful. I was like, oh, this guy doesn't need any coaching. He's already got it going on. This is going to be all right. Well, welcome back to the States. Seattle, the big influence with Seattle now. I've been to Seattle a couple times. What a fantastic city. How has that shaped your kind of just leadership here in the States?
Well, definitely Seattle was an open-minded experience. After living 5 years in Boston, I moved to Seattle because Amazon hired me. And I found that the diversity, the inclusivity, and the open mind of people was even bigger than in Boston. Not complaining about Boston. Boston, it's a very safe spot. You can be yourself and so on. But in Seattle was even more, to the point that I was making jokes with a friend of mine that are still in Boston, say, yeah, now I live on the right coast. So what do you mean by right coast? And then I will start to explain the joy of seeing the ability of people to be themselves, to express themselves, to not have any constraint, any refrain about just being what they are. So that changed my mind very much, because especially Amazon, that was when I worked there, a unique micro universe of multiple ethnicity, multiple diversity that were harmonically working together, made me realizing one thing that I already put in place in my leadership style since Boston, but that inclusivity and diversity, acceptance of the diversity, for real acceptance of diversity,
Yes.
is the key to be successful. I don't want to use the word as a leader. I would say as a people
No,
person.
no.
Okay, let's
I
put it
think
this
you're
way.
allowed. You've established yourself as a leader. That's a perfectly fine way to say it.
Thank you, Billy. But what I discovered is that, and what I learned even more, is that when you understand that every person around you is driven by fundamental different motivations, and you not only acknowledge that, but you accept that, you
Mm.
start unconsciously using a different framework of communication with every single person. There is people that is motivated by career, okay?
Mm.
There is people that is motivated by the ability of having time to cook, or they want to have a very safe boundary around their private life. Others want you to know everything about their private life, right? They overshare, but with a good intent. Others can get emotional if they don't feel supported all the time. Others want to be challenged. Well, then as leader, you are at the center of these communications in your team. This means that when you speak with a group of people, you have to balance, and you have to find the right balance that is good enough for the group of people. And then when you go in one-on-one, you have to fine-tune your communication style.
Mm.
That is not fine-tuning your content, but your communication style. Sometimes
Yes.
being very direct helps. Sometimes being a little bit less direct, it's important. In other context, you might want to paraphrase. Others, you want to give a specific situation business impact. The goal for you is to amplify the people that is around you, amplify their skills, their ability, their excitement, and accept truly, deeply, their diversity. The fact that what matters for them most likely doesn't matter for you, but it's okay. And it's not that you have to fake that what matters for them matters for you, but
Mm.
you have to acknowledge that. And when you communicate, when you organize your meeting, when you organize your day-by-day life at work, you take care of, you consider all of these aspects.
Focal Point is really big on behavior assessments and communication techniques. And so one of the biggest assessments that they hold in high regard for us and for us to use with clients is the DISC assessment, which really puts all of humanity into only 4 different buckets, right? Which seems like that's impossible. That can't be right. That's not enough. But they really, I think, I'm still kind of learning the science about it. I'm not an expert by any means, but it is fascinating to just see how much they can drive those communication styles and try and improve the way that you can communicate with others just based on reading someone's disc profile.
That's very true, but you don't have the luxury of
No,
having the disk profile of everybody. So
that's
you
right. You can
need,
try and pick up on it, but it's not always an exact science.
yes, and you need to work around. I think that that in between the 4 quadrants of the disc personality types, there are many nuances. So
Oh, yes, you're exactly right.
very many nuances. But in general, if there is somebody that is dominant in a conversation, being another dominant will not help. You have to be influential. And then it's
Yes.
different. That means that you have to ask the right question at the right time and without fear.
Oh,
And this is also important because communicating, it's not always with the people that you maybe directly manage or that it's a peer. Somebody is also with the up level, and you can find people that is used to bad communication pattern. And over there is tough. You have to decide if you want to help that person to address the communication pattern or if you want to work around the communication.
yeah. I think again, I've never worked for you. Could I can't say for sure, but I feel like you would be a very personable, a very genuine person to work for. And I tried to model myself as a manager like that. And I've been blessed. I've always been able to communicate well. And I think it is rooted in not just like whatever my disc profile is, but like just in a genuine caring for what this person is bringing to the table on this given day. It's really about just trying to make that connection. In my time as an engineering leader, just with the members of my team, get to know them and get to understand what motivates them and how do they operate.
Yes. Well, first thing I want to say is that I never say that people work for me, people work with me. It's different. I need
Ah,
people that
ah,
is all around me with say the same goal of delighting customers or solving a problem. And it's important the using the word with rather than for. The other
it's such
thing,
a huge piece of it to just describe it that way. Yeah.
thank you. The other important thing is that you need you said something that is very right. I genuinely care about people. In the past, I opened communities that I sustained with my own money. I ran meetups, founding sponsors, and otherwise paying with my own money. I volunteered for the Tacoma Community College for a network of veterans that are searching a new career in the industry, in the software industry. So I really love helping people. And I think that this comes true also when I work with my people, because they see me there as an helper and not as an orchestrator that dispatch orders. Because I think that that's not the way to build a very solid team. Because the risk is that you will be dominant and that new ideas, novel approaches to solve problems will not bubble up because they don't want to go against your personality. The other thing you
Mhm.
mentioned about genuinely care about people, it's true. I don't know if you ever read the book Radical Candor. Radical,
Yes.
Radical Candor is all about that. You need to personally care about people and directly challenge them.
Mm.
Then you build trust because they understand you care personally and therefore they accept the challenge, especially if it's direct. Now, it's not a
Mhm.
magic formula, doesn't work with everybody. So there are nuances, right? Because being too much direct can really create reactions in people, and you don't want to hurt anybody. Um, be kind, be useful, be fearless, right? Are not my words, are from Barack Obama, but they are very, 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 very important. Um, and that's why the direct challenge have to be very, very well tailored and measured according to who you have in front of you. And it's hard. I'm still learning how to master it.
You definitely don't strike me as a micromanager. I think you're definitely the type of leader that, like you said, you're there to help guide and just, get those innovative ideas to bubble to the surface. So as you find yourself leading these large teams on really the cutting edges of technology, what do you find has been a really successful method to getting the most innovation out of your teams?
So the first thing is that you don't want to go in a meeting pretending that you know how to do things because you did it in the past. What you've done in the past is definitely obsolete because the speed of evolution of technology, specifically with Gen AI in the past 3-4 years, it's so fast that something done also a couple of years ago is definitely not anymore the right way or the optimal way. So be humble, be a resource of anecdotes that can help them realizing potential issues that they can encounter along the way. Be an active listener, where active listen. So there is a big misconception. Active listening is not repeating out loud what you said. It's understanding what you said. And if you don't understand, having the humility to ask for a question, to ask a clarifying question, to build on top of it. Ask questions, trigger curiosity in everybody around you, and make room for them to make mistakes. It's from mistakes that they can learn the more and the faster. So let them failing fast so that they can succeed very quickly.
Fail fast and fail forward. Really good advice there. Giorgio, I'll leave you with this. It's kind of the tagline of the podcast. I like to get out of all of my guests. Fill in the blank. Making more blank means the most to you in your career right now.
Making you more capable of accepting imperfection will make you more moving faster toward excellence. Let's put it this way.
Excellence, one of the things I hold in very high regard.
Perfectionism, it's a killer most of the time. Good enough, it's always good enough to get feedback and to improve.
Yes. Very good. I was in the Air Force. One of the core values of our ROTC program was excellence in all we do. And I've always kind of maintained that going forward in my career is something that is really important to me. So I take time, but you're exactly right. It can become a trap if you're a perfectionist and you spend just too much time trying to dial something in. But I think there's always a certain benefit for things to have that professional fit and finish quality and be nicely buttoned up and presented. But it can be a trap too. I've fallen into it. I know that with long nights wasted or just graphic details.
Oh yeah, I can remember this.
Thank you for joining me today and for sharing your insights on leadership, technology, AI, and the human side of innovation. For those listening who want to go deeper, I encourage you to check out a book that Giorgio contributed to called The AI Advantage: Thriving Within Civilizations, Next Big Disruption. And coming soon, I think as early as February or March next year, a book he is writing called The Imperfect Life of an Engineering Manager. Giorgio, it's been a real pleasure having you on Making More today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Making More. If today's conversation sparked something in you, let's connect. You can find me on LinkedIn and Threads at Coach Fisher FPT, or by visiting billyfisher.focalpointcoaching.com to learn more about how I help leaders create clarity, build momentum, and make more of what matters. This recording is copyrighted by Engineered Consulting Incorporated. Until next time, take care.